Another team that I think has a chance to go from dangerous to contender this year is the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They return a lot on the offensive side, including their quarterback, Dylan Raiola. Dana Holgerson will be handling the offense. He'll be in good shape. I love what they brought in at wide receiver in the transfer portal. That might be what makes me most optimistic about where this group could go. I think this wide receiver core was average at best last year. Average across the board. I think now they have a legitimate number one in Dane Key. Dane Key at Kentucky last year had 47 receptions for 715 yards on an offense that could not adequately throw the football. Have over 700 yards receiving on a one-dimensional offense with subpar quarterback play says an awful lot. And then Isaiah Hunter at Cal also had nearly 600 yards receiving. He's now at Nebraska as well. I look at what Dylan Raiola was last year, and there was a lot to like about what we saw from him. Now, is there room for growth? Absolutely. Does he occasionally try to do too much? Yes. Are there some things with his fundamentals that I think lead to him missing throws that he shouldn't miss? Yes. But I do think he's got a lot of talent. And I think for a freshman last year, there were a lot of positives that he can build on going into his second year as the starting quarterback. But they have to still be able to run the football. If you look at last year, Nebraska averaged under 4 yards per carry, and they averaged 130 rushing yards a game. Both of the Huskers' second lowest totals since 2017. Now, Emmett Johnson's going to be the feature back, but the loss of Dowdle will hurt for sure. Last year, they were very much improved running the football, especially in the red zone. They had 22 rushing touchdowns. That was a big step up from the 16 they had in 23 and the 17 they had in 22. The main reason why they were able to do that is because Dowdle was really good, had a nose for the end zone, and had 12 rushing touchdowns on his own. I really like the additions they've made at the offensive line, though, and that should help with trying to run the football. That group collectively should be pretty good. You bring in Elijah Pritchett from Alabama. You bring in Rocco Spindler from Notre Dame. Those are two guys that have high-level starting experience against top-level competition. You also have some homegrown pieces that have been recruited and developed over the last few years, and cohesively, this should be without question the best offensive line that Matt Rule has had since he's been in Lincoln. Now, you could also make the case this might be that side of the ball might actually have a fighting chance against the defensive line when they go against each other in practice, because I would imagine in practice the last couple of years, this Nebraska defensive line have been working this Nebraska offensive line, but it might be a more even battle this year. You look at what they were last year defensively: top 20 in total defense, top 17 in scoring defense, top 10 in rushing defense, but there's some decent turnover, and especially within their coaching staff. John Butler has now been promoted to become the defensive coordinator. He replaces Tony White, who left to become the DC at Florida State. They went and got former UCF defensive coordinator Addison Williams to replace Butler as the defensive backs coach. They went and got a guy from the pros in Terry Braden to become the defensive line coach. And then Phil Simpson is now the outside linebackers coach. Now, the D-line personnel losses of Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher, that's going to be hard. To lose those two guys up front will be very difficult, but they also lost a lot of other guys on the defensive side. Now, they went out and I think they got really solid football players, not guys that have played high-level Big Ten football, but to go out and get Marcus Watson's Trent from the Sun Belt. He was a Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year. That will be big. You get Winery, who's an edge rusher and a big-time prospect after starting his career at Missouri. Still has 4 years of eligibility left. Williams Winery going to Nebraska, he could be an immediate difference maker. You bring in Jalen George, his first-team all-conference defensive lineman at East Tennessee State, kind of a hybrid guy, and Dasan McCullough, who transfers over from Oklahoma, started his career at Indiana, where he's a freshman All-American back in 2022. But now, will he be a featured guy again for the Nebraska Cornhuskers? So I look at Nebraska, man, I'm pretty bullish on what they could be. I also look at the schedule. You got a game against Michigan. That's at home. I think they got a chance to win that game for sure. You got a game against SC. And you got a chance to win that one at home for sure. At Penn State. Now, that might be a bridge too far, but it's not like it's completely out of the realm of possibility that Nebraska can get that game. They gave Ohio State all they wanted last year, remember, and almost had a chance to steal that one at the very end. Even though their win total 7.5, I kind of lean towards the over right now. I think the Cornhuskers are going to be a dangerous outfit here this upcoming season.